Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the long overdue Wandering Scribe audiobook continuation series. Now, the book I am proud to begin reading for you all is, of course, my personal favorite out of the three that I have written thus far. It is, of course, Michael, Last Angel of Earth. Now, I know many of you have been dying for me to read this series. Well, we will now begin. Now, here is a little teaser for Michael. What happens when heaven's greatest warrior brings about the end of the world? 10 years ago, Michael was the proud archangel of war, one of heaven's top military commanders. For over a millennia, he led legions of angels against the forces of Lucifer to keep peace on earth. Upon receiving word that Lucifer is attacking humanity, Archangels Michael, Gabriel, Uriel, and Raphael disobey the heavenly council and lead an expedition to rid the world of evil once and for all. Meeting a young girl named Margaret, she reveals to them a horrifying secret that is unimaginable. The mission ends in disaster, resulting in Michael being stripped of his wings, rendering him mortal, a Nephilim. Thereafter, Lucifer launches a surprise invasion aided by the forces of the old gods. Michael and the other angels fight back, but to no avail. Michael is ordered to flee, taking the young girl Margaret with him to safety. Heaven falls in less than a day, and darkness consumes the earth. In the present day, now known as Barjan, he spends his days as a scribe in a local monastery where he finds peace and comfort in a world ravaged by monsters. He struggles every day with his demons, who coerce him to take up the sword. Then one day, his past catches up to him, thus forcing him down the warrior's path again. After the death of the head abbot, Barjan must now go on a quest with his new friends to retrieve a lost holy relic and perhaps forgive himself to reclaim his heavenly name, where he is Michael, the last angel of earth. And with that, viewers and listeners, let us dive deep into the world of the Last Angel. Book 1, Fall of Light. Chapter 1, The Beginning. Since the beginning of time, the prophecy of the final war has echoed throughout human history. Many called it Judgment Day, others refer to it as Doomsday. Whatever name it was called, its meaning is still the same: the end times. While humanity prepared for the end of days, they were unaware that the war was already in place. Hidden from the world, the forces of light and the armies of darkness fought against one another over the dominion of the earth. With neither side gaining the advantage, they began to see the potential in humanity. As the forces of light drew power from faith and hope, the armies of darkness preyed upon fears and doubts. Realizing that humanity would decide the universe's fate, both armies called for a ceasefire and made a truce to end the war when the age of man had reached its fullest potential. With both sides engaged in a cold war, sentries were placed to protect the balance, ensuring neither side gained the advantage. The angels led by Michael, Gabriel, Raphael, and Uriel ensured this balance. Under their leadership, the angels watched, ensuring the armies of darkness did not break the truce. Everything was going according to plan until one day. A day that changed everything. Chapter 2, The Last Night. The Akia Age, 10 years ago. The new angels stood ready for their first flying lesson at the Watcher's outpost. Their teacher was the legendary Michael. As the oldest of his generation, he held the rank of warrior angel after many victories against the demon horde for the Holy Council. His peers revered him and regarded him as the council's most faithful champion. When the truce was issued, Michael insisted they continue the fight. However, the council told him that angels were not solely warriors. They are messengers, guardians, and protectors of the innocent. Their power came from the faith and hope found in humanity. Without them, they were powerless against the armies of darkness. Michael was then told that his new mission was safeguarding humanity and keeping the balance. Agreeing with the council's decision, Michael vowed to uphold his mission. and he has honored it for the past 2,000 years. As the initiates waited patiently, one saw a beam of light fall from the heavenly clouds. After a few moments, a hallowed being with pupilless eyes stood before them. His gaze lingered on them for a moment. The son could not help but feel intensely emotional. Sharp, curved, massive metal wings shielded the area. His toned body moved with care despite the weight of the shining armor. He held a golden halberd in his left hand, which, although comforting, left them confused about why it was brought here. He turned his gaze toward them, his face stoic and calm. He raised the hood over his head, hiding it partially before speaking. Initiates, today you take your first step into becoming warrior angels. You will rely on your skills and your fellow angel skills. From here on out, you are all brothers and sisters. Am I understood? Yes, sir, said the initiates in unison. Smiling, he continued with today's lesson. Today you spread your wings and take flight. In your first lesson. He paused as he heard the flutter of 2 more angels approaching. Gently landing beside him were his fellow warriors and siblings, Raphael and Uriel. Next to me are your other teachers. They will assist in your training, should you be permitted to advance. Just then one of the initiates raised his hand in the air. I thought we were learning to fly, sir. The young angel pointed out that all the older angels were clad in armor, while they were still clothed in their white tunics. You're going to learn to fly under pressure. An angel must be on his guard and expect the unexpected, said Michael. However, before he could begin the lesson, Gabriel arrived in the training halls, gasping for air. Removing his hood, he looked at his fellow angels. Demons, near a human settlement. Hundreds of them. Gabriel stopped to catch his breath. Glancing at Raphael and Uriel, Michael had to investigate. As for his students, their lesson would have to wait. Looks like there's been a change of plans, everyone. We will continue another time. You're dismissed. As the initiates returned to their other duties, Michael and the others went to their quarters within the holy city. There, Michael asked Gabriel one last time if the information was correct. Gabriel, are you sure you saw demons near a human settlement? Michael needed to be sure this information was correct. Yes, Michael. The demons are amassing near a small town in Italy. There are hundreds of them. Gabriel was the council's respected messenger and its top scout. Through his actions, the Holy Council thwarted any attempts by the Dark Army. We need to go down there immediately, bellowed Raphael. Calm, brother. We need a plan first. We cannot go in blind, said Uriel. She was right, of course. While action was necessary if a demon army was planning to break the truce, they needed evidence to present to the council if they were to have the authorization for war. Polishing his wings, Michael explained his plan. All right, this will be a stealth mission. Observation and tag only. We cannot engage the heathens without full authorization from the council, which means no weapons. We do this quietly in and out, understood? Aye, said Raphael. Agreed, said Gabriel. Yes, sir, said Uriel. Excellent. We leave now. They quickly stopped at the armory and placed their weapons in their lockers. With the weapons secured, the 4 archangels left the Watcher's outpost and ascended towards the earth. Making their descent to the planet, Michael couldn't help but enjoy the rush of the wind blowing past his face and wings. The cool air flowed through his middle wing with a soft hum. There was nothing better than soaring through the skies. The sensation gave the angels a brisk freedom. Even though the wings were metal, the feeling was still there. As they flew closer to earth, they slowed their descent and glided the rest of the way. Michael and the others stopped in the woods a few miles from the small city. Landing softly on the ground, they tucked their wings behind them and scouted out their position on foot. With Gabriel at the helm, the other angels followed behind as they made their way to the demon encampment. As they continued, the local fauna around them continued to change. All around them were beautiful flowers one moment, then replaced by withered plants and dry, tough soil the next. These were clear signs of demon activity. Nearing a slight incline hill, the angels crouched and quietly descended. The angels reached the top of the hill and saw what Gabriel had described. Before them was a massive encampment of demons, corrupted angels, goblins, manticores, dragons, ogres, and other hellish creatures of old. Each beast was adorned in battle gear ranging from animal bone to rugged obsidian. The camp also contained rusted iron cages, siege weapons, and many more terrors. This force could easily take the town. They needed to find their leaders. "Gabriel, tag them," whispered Michael. "On it," he replied. One little-known power Gabriel possessed was capturing and recording images like a camera. He knew every little detail, every secret. Nothing was hidden from him. He could use his eyes to tag the horde leadership and the evidence of weapons and tools. After a few minutes, he finished by blinking his eyes twice. "We have to return and inform the council," said Hero. "I agree, sister. The council won't stand for this. Once we tell them what we have seen, we will unleash the dogs of heaven." Michael was very eager to end this war. Though he stood to watch as a protector of peace, he was a warrior angel. He was hoping for an opportunity to destroy the army of darkness once and for all, and thanks to Gabriel, now they had one. "All right, let's head back home." After getting all the information they needed, the archangels went down the hill and flew back to the outpost as quickly as possible. As they soared higher, Michael thought of how he, his brothers and sisters, would finally win the eternal war. No. At the Watcher's outpost, the 4 archangels requested a meeting with the Holy Council to report what they saw. After explaining all they had seen and confirming Gabriel's suspicions with images, Michael expected the council to declare war. Shockingly, they were told the forces of light would not declare war. Michael was furious. "Holy Council, why must you refuse the evidence? The demons are planning to attack a human settlement. That alone breaks the treaty. Why not declare war?" The council, led by 3 of the Creator's top high-ranking angels, expressed their answer. "Michael, we understand your frustration, but understand our position. We cannot declare war on the army of darkness hastily. Lucifer would not send such a small force into the realm of man without a plan. We need more evidence. If we enact a preemptive strike, we would be responsible for breaking the truce and falling directly into Lucifer's hands." Michael called forth Gabriel. "Holy Council, I agree with everything you say, but Lucifer has not been a threat for nearly 2,000 years. Gabriel's our top scout and messenger for the angels. Surely his images alone are enough to warn an attack." One angel from the council stood up. "Michael, we do not doubt the word of our most respected messenger. However, we still need more evidence of their intentions." "What intentions do you mean?" You herself was getting flustered. Another from the council stood up and spoke. "Official orders from Lucifer? His plans after that? Those are the confirmations we are looking for. Did you capture any of those on your reconnaissance?" Neither of the archangels can answer that question. While they took images of the army's size, Gabriel did not locate any battle plans or documentation linking to Lucifer. Michael began cursing under his breath. Suddenly Raphael stomped his foot down on the tile floor. "This is ridiculous. Who cares that we did not bring the plans? You saw the images. An army is there on human soil. Why are we not doing something about it?" Raphael's tone was loud and angry. Michael touched his brother's shoulder, trying to calm the heated angel. One member of the Holy Council raised a finger towards them. "Mind your place, young one. We've been dealing with these demons longer than any of you have been archangels. As you know, humanity's balance and safeguard were given to us by our Creator as a birthright, a sacred oath. Your actions and words are not enough to unleash a war that could jeopardize humanity's future. Have you all thought about the ramifications if we launch a preemptive strike? Emotions without counsel bring about reckless actions. We cannot afford to lose another angel because of self-pride and reckless ambition." No one dared to speak up. They knew who the council was referring to. Thanthiel was an infamous warrior angel long ago who cared only for his pride and lust for glory. His actions nearly caused a war between the forces of light and the demon horde. He was banished for his actions, and the name had been used to warn angels who sought glory over duty. After listening to the council's words, Michael collected himself. "We understand, council members. What would you have us do respectfully?" "We will send another patrol to gain further intelligence. If they find the documentation we need, or their conclusion matches yours, we will meet at the War Council to determine the best action. Until then, you are to remain here at the outpost. Should you disobey, heed our warnings. If you disobey this council's authority, you risk more than your wings and all you could imagine. Do you all understand? The four angels looked at each other. They may have personal opinions, but neither could contradict the council's word. With a sigh, Michael and his company agreed to the council's decision. As the warriors left the great hall, the three elderly angels discussed themselves. Do you think we got through to him, Ezekiel? Michael is our most respected protector. His heart is always in the right place. He may be headstrong and want to stray, but he knows his duty, said Mortimer. For the sake of us all, let us hope you are right. Back at the barracks, Michael sat on his bed, contemplating what had transpired in the council room. After everything he and his men told them, they still refused to accept their word. Michael pounded a fist into the wall, leaving a crack on the rough marble surface. His hands then began to tingle and gently rubbed them. Usually a prayer would help ease his nerves in times like these. Clasping his hands together, the warrior angel fell to his knees and said a silent prayer to the Creator. Speaking in Latin, he asked for guidance in this troubling hour, conflicted with what to do. He awaited the Creator's response. For a while there was nothing. There was no presence whatsoever. He hoped to have some answer. Instead, his patience was rewarded with utter silence. Irritated, he got up and walked around the room, pacing back and forth. He was not the only one bothered by the council's decision. His siblings debated the council's orders within the barracks. Raphael was doing push-ups to distract himself. Gabriel threw his knives at the wall, and Uriel sharpened her broadsword, Hellfire, the flame of heaven. Tensions were high amongst the four. Are we going to do nothing? Raphael shouted. He got up from the floor and threw a stone across the room into one of Gabriel's knives, cutting it in half. He was beyond furious. Gabriel then went to retrieve his blades. What would you have us do? Go against the Holy Council? Their word is the law. He fiddled with one of the little blades in his hands before laying the rest on his bed. Then we break the law, said Michael. He got up and walked to the exit of the barracks. Leaving the room, he walked down the corridor until he reached a small place. Inside was the armory. Walking inside, he went to his locker and retrieved his weapon. Peacekeeper, halberd of the void. The mighty weapon had seen many battles and stood the test of time, and had been with him since his indoctrination to the warrior angels. Returning, he placed the heavy weapon on his bed and looked over his shoulder at the others. Care to join? He said before returning to the armory. The other angels looked at him dumbfounded. You cannot be serious, Michael. We gave them our word we would not intervene. You know what this would do to us. Uriel set aside her blade to try to reason with her brother. Unfortunately, his mind was made up. I will not stand by and ignore a clear threat. The longer we wait, the more time the demons have to prepare. If the council wants to excommunicate me, fine, but we will not let the demons win this war. This may be a one-time occurrence, and there have been demons all over the globe near human settlements. Would you risk everything for this one time? Gabriel asked. I am tired of waiting for this war to end. If this battle breaks a stalemate, so be it. Raphael, Uriel, and Gabriel could see that Michael was committed to this. He would risk his position in heaven to save the earth and quite possibly damn it. So, will you help me or sit here and wait? Before Gabriel or Uriel could speak, Raphael grabbed his weapons, a pair of spiked gauntlets called Bruiser and Tenderizer. Knowing they would not change their minds, Uriel retrieved her blade while Gabriel grabbed his ruined steel bow, Hornet. With their weapons, the four angels quietly left the barracks. Outside, they quietly avoided other angels until they reached the outpost walls. From there, they soared into the night. Nothing was better than feeling the air seeping through his metal feathers. He and his siblings felt their metal wings hum again as the evening breeze passed through them. Once out of heaven's airspace, Michael recalled the council's warning. If he broke his vow, he would lose more than his wings. Though he told himself he was right in his heart, his mind began to wonder if he genuinely thought of his actions. One way or another, everything will be decided by the time the sun rose over Earth. Arriving in the forest behind the demon camp, Michael and the others devised a plan to approach the vast army. While Raphael suggested a direct assault, Gabriel pointed out that despite their skills, they were vastly outnumbered. He advised they take a more stealthy approach. Using his divine sight, he discovered there were no guards. Very unusual for a demon horde. "What do your eyes see, Gabriel?" asked Michael. "For a demonic army, this is quite poor. No guards or sentries stationed around the camp." He continued to use his sight as he noticed no officer tents or general quarters. What kind of army was this? "This has got to be the poorest excuse of an army I have ever seen. Whoever organized him did not plan very well. Let's see if we can use that." Standing high in a tree, Gabriel raised the bow and awaited Michael's signal. As the sniper found his hiding spot, Michael gave an order to Raphael. "All right, brother. Here's the plan. They're going to circle the camp to the northern part. Uriel and I will wait here. Upon Gabriel's first shot, we attack them simultaneously." "Understood." Raphael eagerly awaited the fight. Quietly crawling away, Michael and Uriel hid behind a couple of trees. The warrior angel firmly grasped Peacekeeper in his hands, his palms sweaty with anticipation. Michael rested his head against the tree trunk, with the four angels getting into position. It had been many eons since he last fought any demons during the Eternal Wars. His breathing rapidly increased with each heartbeat. Not wanting to ruin the mission, he closed his eyes and focused on his breathing. He took several deep breaths to lower his heart rate and calm his nerves. As his heart rate slowed, he turned to Uriel, her hands already gripped on her sword hilt. Looking at Gabriel, Michael gave a quick nod to the archer. Gabriel picked his target in the camp. He set his sights on one lone soul in the very center of the base. Grabbing an arrow from his quiver pouch, he pulled back on the bowstring until he notched an iron bolt into the grooves. With both fingers pulled back, eyes locked on his target, he released the iron bolt and sent the missile flying through the night. Before anyone in the camp knew what had happened, the iron missile hit its target dead center in the beast's heart, piercing the thick hide. "Engage!" shouted Michael. Busting from the trees, he and Uriel stormed the south end of the camp, while Raphael attacked from the north. In one simultaneous motion, the angels surprised the demon army despite being outnumbered. One by one, the angels carved their way through the camp, leaving a bloody trail of fallen foes. Michael hacked, slashed, and punctured several enemies with his mighty halberd. The fighting was brutal and intense, generally testing their skills. It had been many eons since he or his friends fought so intensely, but Michael remembered that this fight was for a just cause. His siblings also felt the same way. As the trio arrived in the center of the camp, they fought together. Uriel's hair was messy and Raphael's face was red with demon blood, but this did not deter them. Instead, it encouraged them even more. While fighting, Michael saw a one-horned demon come from behind Uriel. The warrior angel charged forward and thrust the spear end of his weapon to the demon's gut before it attacked Uriel. Screaming in pain, the demon clawed at the warrior angel. The female angel turned around and saw Michael. "Thank you, brother," she smiled. "Turn your attention back to the demon horde." Michael lifted the demon into the air, but the monster still screaming agony. Grunting, he threw it over his shoulder, seeing the body fall head first on the ground. Breathing heavily, he saw the carnage all around him. Bodies were beginning to pile up. As for his siblings, they were having the time of their lives. Uriel sliced through enemies with her flaming sword, Hellfire. She danced through the enemies like water. She was constantly moving and evading, yet delivering devastating gashes and puncture wounds with her blade. One demon gasped as it clutched its chest, feeling its heart suck air from its gaping wound. She was the best swordsman out of all of them in the Corps. While many female angels chose the spear or bow, Uriel chose the flame of heaven as her weapon. Initially, many were skeptical about her use of one of heaven's most powerful blades. However, those rumors were quickly silenced during the wars. To her, movements with the blade were like a dance of elegance and death. Uriel even created her martial form in the process. The more he watched, the more amazed he was. Heads were severed, limbs were lopped, and organs were spewed all over the grass, yet no blood stained her clothing. While Michael admired Uriel's precision with the sword, he failed to see a flying demon fly over his head and land directly before him. This broke him out of his trance. Seeing the broken body, he looked to his left and saw Raphael. Raphael crushed two skulls together in his massive hands. He then turned around and punched a dozen goblins with one blow, sending the little bastards flying. Then, with his other hand, he grabbed the Minotaur by the throat and slammed the foul beast face first into the ground. The sheer blow cracked the beast's neck. The mighty angel beat his chest and let out a triumphant cry. Michael smiled at this. Ever since they were little, Raphael had been the bold one of the group, which often got him into trouble with the elders. However, despite this, he was the one angel Michael could always count on in any situation. Because of his large size, no standard weapon suited him, so he created a design based on old human arrangements, or armaments. The weapon suited him just fine and saved many lives in the process. Back in the present, one beast managed to tackle Michael to the ground. On his back, Michael pressed his weapon against the creature. The monstrosity tried to bite at Michael, flashing its teeth. Before it could go any further, an iron bolt pierced the beast's skull. Blood splattered onto Michael's face. Some even got into his mouth. Pushing it off him, Michael turned and saw Gabriel providing cover fire from the trees. His arrows left deep puncture wounds in any enemy foolish enough to stand still. Out of all of them, Gabriel was the quiet one. While everyone trained their body, Gabriel taught his mind. He spent more time in the Holy Library than any of his siblings. As a result, Gabriel learned all of Earth's languages, customs, people, and regions. He also knows 1,000 different ways to kill as well. The council took notice of this and made him a messenger angel. However, Gabriel rose through the ranks and became the Watcher's premier messenger angel. When selecting his weapon, he wanted something precise and accurate to the point, like his messages. No true weapon was the bow, yet he modified it and transformed it into a crossbow, powerful enough to shoot iron bolts further than anything humans could create. Together, these four angels formed the elite of the Corps, and together they brought down this mighty army of evil on their own. Every demon in the camp was put to the sword. In less than an hour, everyone was tired, covered in blood, or a bit of both. Michael and his siblings were still just as dangerous as they were in the past. Raphael let out a bellowing laugh. "Damn, that was fun," yelled Raphael. He silently crushed the last demon alive before laying down on the blood-soaked grass. "It was not meant to be fun, but I cannot disagree that I have missed fighting demons." Uriel pulled a white cloth and cleaned the blood off her sword before sheathing it away. Michael then inspected the carnage. All around the angels were dead bodies of various monsters and beasts. As Gabriel said, these demons were not the same as the ones they had fought previously, yet the situation was resolved. The humans were saved. "Where's Gabriel?" he said aloud. Michael called out for his brother, and he heard the fluttering sound of mighty wings. Standing next to his brother, Gabriel had a concerned look. "What troubles you, Gabriel?" Michael asked. "Something doesn't feel right. This felt too easy." "Of course it was easy. We took them by surprise," chuckled Raphael. However, this was no laughing matter to Gabriel. "I'm serious. In the history of our wars against the force of Lucifer, I have never known an army to be this careless. Not to mention, they seemed ill-equipped. This victory was planned. Someone expected us to be here and to win." "What do you propose, then?" questioned Uriel. "I suggest we go to this human city. Something tells me this night is far from over." Gathering their weapons, the four angels flew out of the camp and toward the human city. The city in question was small, with only 500 residents. Few roads led to the small settlement, and communion with the major cities in the region was scarce. As they neared their destination, the angels noticed something peculiar about the city. There were no lights on, no sounds from locals, nothing but silence. It was desolate. "Where are all the humans?" said Michael. As he and his band moved further, they found no living soul. It was a ghost town, but it was not supposed to be. Gabriel used his divine sight once more to locate any form of life, but he ended up short. Maybe they fled, inquired Raphael. I don't think so, brother. Hero pointed out that everything was still in its proper place. Nothing was removed, tampered with, or altered. It was almost as if the humans had just vanished. Spread out and look for any survivors in the city, said Michael. With everyone going in different directions, Raphael decided to check out an abandoned iron factory. Going inside, the mighty angel was greeted with the sound of the wind blowing through the rusted gears of old machines. The atmosphere was cold and dead, hardly a place for anyone to hide. Looking down, he saw an old stuffed bear. Picking it up, he gave one last look around the factory. Turning his back way, his ears picked up a faint sound from the manager's room. With a mighty leap, Raphael landed on the wooden platform. He moved cautiously towards the room, not knowing who or what was inside. Grabbing the doorknob, he slowly opened the door with a slight creaking sound. Motioning through the narrow door space, he entered to find the source of the sound. Laying before him was a small child huddled in the back corner. She had amber hair, braided on one side with a decoration of colorful beads. Her face was covered in dust. Her eyes, though hidden in the shadows, was green. She wore a little dress covered in flowers and had purple shoes. Not wanting to frighten the girl, the mighty angel kneeled before the tiny human and removed his hood, allowing her to see his face. Hello there. My name is Raphael. I'm an angel. What is your name? The little girl said nothing. She was too afraid. She reeled in fear as he extended his hand and began to quiver. Raphael was puzzled. Was she scared of him? Remembering the bear in his hand, he offered it to the little girl, which soon grabbed her attention. Does he belong to you? Said Raphael. The little girl nodded her head. What's his name? She said softly. The little girl opened her mouth and uttered a few words. Mr. Snuggleface. Raphael smiled at the child. That's a good name. I don't think he will be good on missions with me. Would you like him back? At first, she said nothing, but quickly nodded her head. Extending her hand, he offered the stuffed animal back to the girl. Grabbing it, she held the animal close to her. Now, can you tell me your name? Margaret. Margaret, can you tell me what happened? She uttered a few phrases to him. He told us to leave. Attack coming. Had no weapons. Placed a spell on us. Told us we were safe. She cut herself off as tears began to roll down her face. She cried softly to herself. The warrior angel placed a comforting hand on her shoulder, slowly calming her. Do you remember the man's name? What did he look like? She could not remember the stranger's name, but pointed to Raphael. Did the stranger look like me? He asked. Margaret nodded yes, and added a new piece of information. His wings were black, she said. Figuring the others would want to hear this, he scooped the little girl in his arms, and the pair flew out of the factory. Back with the others, Gabriel, Michael, and Uriel looked all over the city, but could not find any humans around. Hopefully, Raphael was more successful. Just as they were getting settled, Uriel saw an image flying towards them, landing softly on the ground. The others saw the human in Raphael's arms and rushed towards him. Placing the girl on a nearby rock, Raphael went to the others. Raphael, what have you learned? Michael, we have a problem. This little girl told me a dark-winged angel had come to the city before us. He knew an attack was coming. Michael closed his eyes and let out a sigh. Anything else? She also said he put a spell on them for their protection. This news did not bode well for the angel. It was bad enough they went against the council's orders, but learning that someone else had come to the city made it worse. If they got caught by the others, they would have no excuse to give. On the other hand, Gabriel was more concerned about this mysterious angel. A dark-winged angel had never been documented, or at least to his knowledge. However, this could be the first case of humans encountering a Nephilim. These beings were angels who fell from grace and wandered the earth. But that was thought to be a myth. Or was it? Wanting to test his theory, Gabriel went over to Michael and Raphael. You said a spell was placed on the people, correct? Can she remember this chant, or at the very least the symbols? Raphael couldn't say. It was worth trying to figure out this mystery. The angels approached the little girl, with Michael kneeling to greet her. He looked at her with a soft smile on his warrior face. Hello, Margaret. My name is Michael. My friends and I are looking for your family. Perhaps you can help us. Tell me, do you remember the spell the angel cast? Michael hoped you remembered the spell, but that was wishful thinking. Even if it was a few phrases, he could tell if it was angelic or demonic. As they waited, the angel saw the little girl trying to recall precisely what the stranger had said. She could not remember the phrase, but she did remember the images. She knelt on the ground and placed 2 fingers in the dirt. Then, like a painter, she drew the outlines of the symbols she remembered. The lines she drew in the soil took jagged and exotic shapes. As she continued, the angels watched in amazement and shocked at what they saw. The young girl finished drawing the image on the floor, and Uriel could translate him. And he departed in the divine flesh, and his followers from the light. He will rise again, the host of Samael. Margaret looked at the female angel in wonder. That was what the angel said. Michael and the others' faces grew white. The spell Uriel recited and the symbols drawn by the child were indeed angelic, but they were the forbidden tongue used many eons ago. How was it that this angel was able to recite it? Impossible. The Holy Council outlawed that language. No records of that offensive speech remained, exclaimed Uriel. Then our mysterious stranger must be an angel, Gabriel said. But I would have sensed his presence or a lingering effect of it. Raphael shook his head. Brother, the Holy Council executed the angels that used that heathen tongue. None of those angels remain. All except one. Michael said under his breath. The others looked down at their fellow brother, whose face grew pale. You don't mean, gasped Uriel, concerned for her brother, placing a hand on her shoulder. He could not look at her. It was as if his very soul had been plucked from his body. He looked at the girl again and asked where the angel had taken the humans. His voice grew raspy. She pointed behind him, past city's entrance, and directly towards the demon encampment. Michael's heart shattered. His fear had been realized. Getting up, he darted back towards the camp, with his siblings and the girl trailing afar. Running past trees, he made out the encampment's outline through the forest gaps. Bursting out of the woods, he saw the slain bodies of the demons he and his band had slaughtered. Encompassing the entire camp were the disfigured bodies of the humans he had sworn to protect. Michael placed a hand on his chest, his heart beating profusely and his breathing erratic. The sight of the victims was too much for the warrior angel, that he fell to his knees. His eyes began to water, and small streams rolled down his cheeks. From behind he could hear the footsteps of the others catching up to him. Once the others arrived, they were shocked by the horror. The little girl cried in horror and sadness at the massacre she saw before her. None of them could fathom what they had done. They had broken their sacred vow. This can't be real, whispered Uriel. Before anyone could answer, a group of warrior angels descended from the starlit sky on the bloodied ground. It was a patrol sent by the Holy Council. What on God's earth have you done, Michael? He could not answer. Suddenly the other angels brandished her weapons at the fore. At the helm, the angel Delphi stepped forward. Michael, you and your friends are under arrest for the slaughter of the innocent and for disobeying the council's orders. Do not make us use force to take you in. Michael said nothing and merely stood up. His head low, he approached his accuser and extended both his hands. Do what you must. Now, we will actually stop here. So this is still in Chapter 2, but Chapter 2 is quite long. So we will pick up next time. And I cannot wait to share with you all the rest of Michael's journey in Last Angel of Earth. This is an amazing book. And make sure to order yourself a copy as well, which you can go to my bio page on YouTube, as well as my bio page on Instagram and LinkedIn. As always, thank you so very much for joining me for another Wandering Scribe audiobook series. Make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all in future episodes later this week.